So, this is my favorite part. So, like, the hi-hat is a super important instrument. I mean, obviously, there's a reason it's on the drum set. And there's a reason Buddy Rich used the hi-hat on 2 and 4 to show the whole big band. He has to cut through a big band to show where the tempo is. So he does that with an instrument that's piercing. There's no sound on the drum set, but they didn't have stacks back then. Let's not think about that. There's no sound on the drum set that sounds like the hi-hat when it's closing. Or there wasn't then. And there's no sound in the big band that sounds like that. A lot of drummers, when they have an in-ear monitor, when they're listening to, like, the big musicians, like the Aaron Spears that are playing with, like, Ariana Grande and Jay-Z and Drake and whoever he's playing with, he chooses to have an in-ear monitor that's playing a click that sounds like nothing on the drum set. So he can't mistake that click for something else that's happening. You're not having your metronome with the sound of a bass drum for, like, a good reason. You're not going to mistake that. So same thing with this. He's closing the hi-hat on 2 and 4 to show where the tempo is. And that's why the hi-hat was invented. And that all makes sense. But once we started to use our right hand on the hi-hat, that started to influence how you feel about the beat that's currently happening. So, like, let's say the beat that's currently happening is so if you listen to that beat back in your head, you're hearing ah, 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 ah. You got a hi-hat to it. That didn't change. You're not thinking in your head like, tss, 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 tss. That's not the catchy part of the beat. The catchy part, what I tell my students, the melody of the beat, that's the melody of the beat. That's the thing you're going to. That can go with fills too. Like if I'm playing, like even a pretty complicated beat, you're not thinking you're thinking boop, kick-a, boom, boom, kick-a. There's a melody behind everything you're playing. But the hi-hat is going to influence how you feel about that. So, for example, if we want to show like a more laid-back feel with that same beat, I'll do a laid-back beat on the hi-hat. So, that's kind of, it's nice. But if you're going to do eighth notes, it's a more driving feel. You can add accents and volumes and dynamics to it to show where you should bang your head to it and like, this is where the tempo is. That shows you where to bang your head. You can throw off the audience by doing an upbeat, throw them off their feet and make them dance. You can give kind of a driving Benny Grubb feel. Or like a hard rock, Dave Grohl, hard-hitting feel. The beat didn't change, the melody didn't change, but that determined how you felt about it. I've always thought that's been very interesting, and it can even build tension within the song too. So let's say our melody. By adding in a new texture, I started to build it up. I added tension to the music. I added volume on top of that, which just added more tension. And I was at a Rich Stitzel clinic one time. Who knows Rich Stitzel? Does anyone? I do. Oh, you know Rich. Yep. He's a great drummer and a great dude out of Chicago. And he wrote a book called The Drum Mantra. And it's a book about just polyrhythms and how to use polyrhythms to improve your time and your coordination. But when I was at that clinic, he said something about music that it's just stuck with me since. And he said that music is all about tension and release. I don't know if you remember that, but that's just like always stuck with me. And I think it's changed how I even will just play a song on the daily basis. I hear it different. Because, like, you have your verse, which you don't necessarily know the verse to every song. So that's kind of an unfamiliar part. So that would be the tension part of the song. And then you would have the chorus. That's familiar. You know the part, you know how the chords are going. You know how the lyrics are and the melody behind it. And that's the release. Like, you know what's going to happen. So it's nice. It's that draw of tension and release. The hi-hat's determining that if we just have that drum groove. And that can also be used for just closing the hi-hat too. It doesn't always have to be hitting the hi-hat. So let's say, same beat, but we're on the ride. And I'm going to use the hi-hat now to determine how you feel about the beat. So let's start with the head bang, showing you where the tempo is. I'll move to the ands, make it funky and jazzy. Then I'll drive it by doing eighth notes. And then I'll go from there. So we're going to have... Right? The last one's a little extra, but it's cool. If you're going like really ham, you can do that. It's the only time you have permission to do it. But yeah, same thing. Whether I'm doing eighth notes and doing an open sound on the ands, or whether I'm doing eighth notes with a open sound on the downbeat, it changes how you feel. Again, none of that changed. So the hi-hat has the power to do all that.